there, and welcome to a miraculous episode of the Friday Night Movie Podcast, because this week we're going to talk about the miracle of Hanukkah. But before we get to the miracle of Hanukkah, I want to get back to a story that Becky was telling before our live stream started last week, that because of my own failures as a sound technician in the pre-show, I think a lot of people missed, and I think a lot of people need to hear this. Lily, would you agree? And this is Becky's own war. I think it's Becky's war on children, or is it war against holiday fun? How would you describe it?
You're looking at it from the wrong perspective. This is me fighting for my child's fun. This is me willing to go to war over my child's fun.
Okay.
I'm a bit, all right. So I take my daughter, my 4-year-old, ice skating in Philly, in Center City. They have one of those, ice skating rinks set up in front of City Hall.
Plaza.
Yeah, very cute, very cute. And we get there and I have these grand illusions of what it will be like to go ice skating with a 4-year-old who's never been on ice skates before. And lo and behold, it's nearly impossible. I have to hoist her up by her armpits and I'm dragging her around the rink. It's really difficult. And I see all these people out on the rink holding these, maybe 3-foot high penguins, these stabilizers that you hold on to, and then, you like a walker, but for the ice skating rink so they can go around. I'm like, oh, it's genius. But there's a lot of adults using them. There's kids using them, but a lot of adults. So not fair. She's a little kid. She should get to use one. So I skate up to someone and I go, excuse me, those are for children. And the woman just kind of gives me a side look and I go, yeah, they're for children. So can I have that now? She gives me a dirty look. And
like, you're asking because it's your turn.
Yeah, it's my turn.
You're trying to model sharing for your child.
Well, it's just sharing,
but you never
also
confirm that there's.
But also, no, it's not that. It's not about sharing. It's about the fact that you're an adult, you can figure it out. Obviously, these penguins that are on the rink are meant for little kids. They're 3 feet tall. They're not 5 feet tall. They're meant for little kids to hold on to. They're not meant for adults. So please
So you're
don't.
saying if it was a different animal? It was like a...
No, because of the size. Because of the size of the thing. It was clearly made for children.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
adults should
so
not
if it was
be
a centaur, that would be more adult?
It would feel more... those are probably for adults, and I wouldn't try and take. So that adult, she kind of gives me a look, and she half smiles, and she goes away. I'm like, well, that's rude. Basically refusing to help a child. So I go up to another adult, and I go, excuse me, are you done with that now? Because my kid would like to use it. And they go, no. And I go, but she's a little kid, and you're an adult. You don't need that.
They had none left. They had none left at the
No, so I'm on the rink. So I'm assuming you just get you get them on the rink. So finally, I see this probably 12-year-old kid who's just standing with one of the penguins, not even using it. So I go up to him and I go, "Hey, buddy, looks like you're done." And he goes, "What? No, I'm not." And I go, "Well, you're not using it, so it's our turn now." Now I'm trying to model share. And he goes, my brother wants it.
Now imagine you are a 12-year-old, and
Becky comes at me. Becky comes at me.
I'm afraid.
I need diapers.
And he goes, well, my brother's going to use it next. And I go, well, he doesn't look like he's using it. And then the dad skates over to me and he's like, is there a problem here? And I'm like, no, come on, relax, man. No problem here. And I'm skating around.
That's a ballsy dad.
Thinking to myself, how horrible are all of these people that they're not letting a small child use the penguin?
Are you thinking this is because it's Philadelphia?
I'm thinking it's because we're in an East Coast city, People are a little
so you're
tougher.
Blaming the East Coast.
So I see a little girl Miri size with a dad, and I skate up to them and I go to the dad, "Hey, how did you get one of those?" And he goes, "I paid $15." And I think, genius. All I had to do was offer someone $20 and I could get their penguin off of them.
Becky, that's what you thought he meant?
That's the first thing that came to mind.
So did you then just start skating around with bills, just throwing them at these people?
No, and I'm like, oh, good idea. And I go to skate off, and I hear him say, "From the rental window."
So I can't believe that didn't occur to you the first 3 times.
So I've been skating around trying to steal penguins from people. Anyways.
And now think about it the other way. These people are tourists in Philadelphia, and some lady who's some lady, well, loudmouth, but Becky's probably dressed in, large fitting sweater pants
I looked appropriate.
Okay.
I looked appropriate for a skating rink.
Okay. Appropriate is
But
going
it's not
up
that
and
I wasn't
telling
being
people.
aggressive. I was just being very assertive. Like, now we will take this from you. And that typically works. And they were like, no, you won't. And I
But
was
also,
like, yes, I will.
100% shamed several adults for not knowing how to skate.
I did. Like, I did actually shame several
Like, hey,
adults. And then I
this is
bumped
for
into the
kids. Give it to my
12-year-old
kid.
at the carousel, and we had to make a run for it. It was very uncomfortable. But I did go back the next day, and I properly rented one of the two of the penguins. And then I paid it forward because when some lost soul came up to me and said, how did you get that? I was like, I got you covered. I got you covered, buddy.
You give him $20?
No, you told him you go over to the
wanted-
smallest kid on the rink, you trip him.
Yeah, that's what Becky did.
Knock him over.
Hit him with a penguin.
All I would say is,
did you then chant O'Doyle rules? I mean, this is once.
Doyle rules.
So it's Hanukkah. It's the last night of Hanukkah when we're recording this. People will get this a week later. It's been a great Hanukkah so far. Any exciting presents, Becky and Lily? Anything big happen for you all in the Hanukkah department?
If it did, I don't remember. I don't feel like Hanukkah's a time for no one bought me a calendar. No one bought
I
me
bought Mom a calendar.
gloves from the pharmacy.
I bought Shai's daughters a calendar.
Yeah.
Keeping the tradition alive.
Gotta do a calendar.
So we're saying I'm the only one that didn't get
a calendar.
No, I didn't get a calendar.
I
didn't get a calendar. I got a few cool presents.
I would say that Shai, like there's somebody always saves Christmas or whatever. Shai saved Hanukkah as he sent Ari this summer a suitcase of toys that I could use as Hanukkah presents from Tio Shai. I did not pretend that they were from me and Jose. But
so what did he get so far? What was his Hanukkah presents from me? Because he definitely hasn't said thank you.
Lily, do you know the names?
Yeah, he did. He sent you video.
Thank you.
We sent you video.
Oh, okay.
When he opened
not
them.
like to me, like talking. I mean, I call you a lot.
No. It was addressed to you.
Well,
the video.
This way, if you have the video, you can watch it over and over.
It's like a cameo.
Again.
Okay, all right. I'll watch it over and over.
Speaking of cameos, I'm just saying we outdid ourselves.
We did. And so he got He-Man, but when he's not, Becky, did you know this? He-Man is not always He-Man.
I did not know that.
He has like Clark Kent
sometimes.
Yeah, so when he's Clark Kent,
Adam.
he's Prince Adam. So he got Prince Adam on this
he's
really
wanted
wild
since the
scooter.
He has talked nonstop.
Prince Adam on a scooter?
It's like this futuristic sort of like hovercraft
sky sled, whatever it's called. That
Wait,
thing
does
huge.
He-Man take place in the future or the past? Because his
on another planet.
On
another planet. It's a mix of like fantasy.
It's a great question, Becky. Like Game of Thrones. Like when does Game of Thrones take place?
His outfit's a little caveman-y.
Yeah, but they have spaceships and stuff. There's a mix of magic and technology. That's part of what.
Anyways, and then he got, Becky, hang on to your socks, Soundwave, but like another version with Laserbeak inside him or something. This is crazy Transformer.
But isn't Soundwave a bad guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, or he loves the bad guys. To be honest, besides Bumblebee, the bad guys are way cooler than the good guys in that show. Like, way more interesting stuff happening. And there was this little bird that goes inside his cassette tape holder, and that is like a spy or whatever. And Ari was like,
I love how much Lily knows about Transformers.
Yeah, now. Ari was like, you got to get the bird out. And I was like, Ari, obviously this bird is just for show. It doesn't come out. He's like, of course it does. And he was like near 5-year-old Hanukkah tantrum. And I had a friend visiting who is like a web programmer or whatever, and I was like, he knows computers, he can do it. Ask him to take that stupid bird out.
Open up an analog tape player transformer.
Right. And then I was like, if he can't do it, then he can have the tantrum. Like 3 seconds later, Ari's running around with that bird in his hand. He's like, told you. And so. So I thank you for saving Hanukkah. It was very special to get such special gifts.
That's awesome. All right.
And I just got my other kid cleaning supplies. I'm not kidding. Like a child mop and broom little rolly case, because that's all a 15-month-old wants to do.
That is the kind of thing a 15-month-old wants to do.
It's the best.
Just get him a bowl and the box that your other kids' toys came in. And that's all they need.
That's it. Nothing else. Amazing.
So I will say on my birthday, just to recap on my birthday, Becky mentioned cameos. I got 2 amazing cameos. One probably is the jewel in the crown of all of cameo. If there's one cameo that is the most legendary and important cameo that cameo offers, that is the Gary Busey cameo. And my sisters got me.
We went above and beyond.
A Gary Busey cameo. He wore the Cat in the hat. And he said he was a very beautiful tribute. He was very emotional and sweet
and heartfelt. And
heartfelt. And he picked out his guitar. I mean, he played Buddy Holly. The guy knows how to play guitar. He played guitar and he sang me happy birthday. It was a beautiful message. And that was just an incredible. And because I follow cameo, what's happening, all the different cameos. I know what a big deal the Gary Busey cameo is. So I was extremely touched. That was amazing. So thank you. And then my children, they got me another really thoughtful one that turned out to be amazing, which was Isabella Gomez, who plays the lead character on Head of the Class, which is the HBO show we've been watching together that they love. We watched the original Head of the Class together. And then she's the teacher. And she gave a really nice, heartfelt message as well. So that was really nice. Now, back to Hanukkah. There is an internet debate that goes on constantly every year. I almost feel like it's a joke at this point because when you think about how many there's an
it's also referenced in so many movies now.
Right. It's like
it has a life beyond itself. It's debate.
It's truly a joke at this point. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? Question.
Right.
And it is people put it on the internet multiple times, and I feel the need to respond every single time. First of all, because I love Die Hard. Second of all, there's so many Christmas movies. I mean, there's an entire channel that just makes Christmas movies, right? Isn't Hallmark all they do is Christmas movies, or do they sometimes make non-Christmas movies? Or are those all?
I cannot confirm that or deny that.
I think they make Hallmark holiday movies. That's
okay.
So
but even the
Easter.
Jewish Hallmark movies have Christmas in them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has the menorah under the tree.
Yeah.
Right.
That's where you put your menorah, right?
Right. That's right. That's where the menorah goes.
That's what they'd have you believe.
With the presents.
That's what they'd have you believe.
So it has shade.
Exactly. Does it? So it's amazing that this becomes a debate every year. And the debate was raging, as usual, on whether or not Die Hard's a Christmas movie. And I have decided to do something that is probably wildly inappropriate, although no one has really tweeted back at me. Although I give Brian Stever of the Take Two podcast, our dear friend, credit. I think he liked my tweet, so that was good. So I know he at least mildly endorsed it. Maybe? I don't know. Brian will tell us if he did. And that is, I've decided that when people start debating one of these Christmas movies that they're not sure is a Christmas movie or not, but that is totally awesome, I'm just going to go on Twitter and claim it as a Hanukkah movie. So, because we don't have any Hanukkah movies. Name a Hanukkah
movie. 8 Crazy Nights with Adam Sandler, and that's it? That weird, depressing cartoon
is so depressing.
So depressing.
And it's a Christmas movie. It's not even a Hanukkah movie, right? It's a depressing animated Christmas movie where, like, there's a very depressed character who also celebrates Hanukkah. Oh, that's a very depressing movie.
But here, I wanted to put a little pin in that one because let's just like digress for a sec, because how is it possible if Hollywood is just like regurgitates the same stories over and over again? I don't know how many Thor movies we need, and they remake everything all the time.
Thor. Why are you always picking on Thor?
It was unnecessary.
Because you don't need most of those except for one. And so if we're redoing the same stories all the time, how is this war story not, a great action flick in the ready to roll?
Well, I'll tell you this.
Braveheart, but with candelabras.
It's funny that you say that, because do you know who the one person who wanted to make that movie was? It was Mel Gibson.
Ooh.
In fact, after...
he wanted to make the Maccabees. You're right.
After the Passion of the Christ,
he can't make more.
He wanted to make
stuff.
The Maccabees.
Right, the Maccabees. Right.
And I don't know who intervened, but that didn't happen. But that's actually another great segue before we come back to this cliffhanger of the Hanukkah Die Hard thing. This would have been in my shout-outs and recs, but I think we should just jump into it.
Go
Joshua Malina of West Wing fame, who is one of the most interesting and hilarious Jewish people. Actually, we'll come back to this at the end, but he wrote an article on The Atlantic that everyone should check out, which is Cancel Mel Gibson, Why is Hollywood Still Hiring This Raging Anti-Semite? And I know I often talk about how the Lethal Weapon movies are my favorite, and I sometimes have a weird blind spot for Mel Gibson as an artist, but it truly takes apart Mel Gibson in an amazing way, and it's a brilliant article in The Atlantic. And it's funny that you brought up the Maccabees of all stories, because this is the one guy that wanted to make the Maccabee stories.
But here's the thing. It's not like he owns the rights. Like anybody can make that story.
Right,
so
that's true.
if we have to fire Mel Gibson for making the Maccabees, why isn't there like another studio? And is it like, I'm going to just throw it out there. Is it because it's a Jewish story? Is that it? Like, unless we're doing something about the Holocaust,
I mean,
they can't.
No,
Ten
because
Commandments.
the Ten Commandments. I mean,
How long ago was that, guys?
Oh, they redid. They redid
they did the
it
Prince
with
of Egypt. Also,
Prince of
that's
Egypt.
pretty Jewish. Jeff Goldblum is Aaron.
Okay,
I mean that.
so one every 30 years. Is that what you're
Right.
saying?
And in fairness, the Old Testament is also in the New Testament, so like it's Jewish, but it's
Anybody, it's up for grabs. Everybody
up
can
for
have it.
grabs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I'm just saying it's a cool story, and I feel like we're about due for a Hanukkah movie at this point.
yeah. So at the end of this, I'll do a dramatic reading of my favorite passage of Joshua Malina's article. All right, so we're due for a Hanukkah movie, but you know what? Why wait? Because there
Why
are so
wait?
many
Yeah.
Christmas movies, and if people are going to be ungrateful for their Christmas movies, I think we
We'll
should
take
take
'em.
some. So I'm gonna. I started with Die Hard the other day. I tweeted at a fun person I follow on Twitter. Always has controversial opinions, so I'm not saying I endorse all this person's opinions, but I really enjoy engaging with them on Twitter. Another Millennial Reviewer is the name of the Twitter handle, and they asked, "Start a Christmas movie," and I wrote back something to the effect of, "Look, people are going to still keep debating this. I'm taking Die Hard. It's now a Hanukkah movie, and when you think about it, it really is. You've got Hanukkah is a story about. It's a story of liberation, right? Of the few against the many, right? It's not about candles and presents. It's really about the Israelites casting off the invading Assyrians who captured and desecrated their temple. And so here you have Nakatomi Plaza is Jerusalem, or is the Holy Temple, and Hans Gruber is Antiochus. I mean, it even sounds similar, right? And John McClane is all of the Maccabees, right? I could try to make analogies as to which other like
John and Judah, I would say.
Yeah, John and Judah, but like you could say Ellis is maybe a No. John is all of the. You don't need other Maccabees when you have. If the Maccabees had John McClane, Hanukkah would have lasted. It would
have also just been. It would be Maccabee singular.
Exactly.
One Maccabee.
Judah Maccabee. And so it's a victory of the few against the many. It's a victory against invaders, the hostage takers. And there's a lot of flames in that movie. They blow up. I could count probably at least 8 fires. So I'm assuming that so to me, Die Hard now officially a Hanukkah movie. And with that, I wanted to ask, as we misappropriate other people's, or not other people's, but movies that may exist in someone else's tradition, I wanted to go around the horn and ask you all, if we were going to claim some other movies for Hanukkah, what other movies would you claim? Becky, you want to start?
The original Home Alone. It feels so obvious to me. The fact that people consider this a Christmas movie and not a Hanukkah movie. I mean, think about it for just a few seconds, and you'll realize how absurd that is.
I really
okay?
want to hear this argument.
The young rebel stays behind to defend his holy temple, his home, right, against the invaders, during which the home gets desecrated. And by the Hanukkah miracle, he is able to repair it before, in time for the family's return.
Okay.
Except Buzz's room.
Except Buzz's room. We did our best. 9/10.
I think you could argue that tarantula is the oil that doesn't get Extinguished.
Yeah.
Exactly. The
You could
oil
also say
survived.
maybe-
Think about it.
You also say like maybe Buzz, right? Because if you really dig deep in Hanukkah story, there's a little bit of a civil war happening actually between the Maccabees and the other Jews, and so maybe Buzz represents the other side of the civil war there.
He's a young rebel that rises to the occasion to defend his home. It gets destroyed in the process, but yet he rededicates it. Think about it. He cleans it all up, fixes it by the end. It's a miracle.
To his holiday, and it's a miracle. His mom makes it home.
I'm just saying, if you just peel, but the Christmas stuff is it's just the top layer. As soon as you start peeling that back, it's Hanukkah all underneath.
Catherine O'Hara and Macaulay Culkin.
It's just to make to make people think they're watching a Christmas movie, but really they're watching a Hanukkah movie.
Well, we've already
I feel like instead of a sequel or instead of a remake, there should have been a Hanukkah remake, and it's like McAllisburg or whatever is their last name. And we didn't need this new version; we needed the Hanukkah version. That's what
true.
We're well. In my Rex and shoutouts, I will give my reaction to Home Alone, Alabama, or whatever it's called.
Sweet Alabama Alone.
The one on Disney Plus. All right, Lily, what about you? What's your case for?
Okay, so I took a different approach where I feel like sports is a really good analogy for this. And the first thing that came to my mind was The Replacements. And that's have
a great underdog
this
story.
This ragtag team who's brought together. In my mind, Hackman is Matisyahu, who's like getting this group. Like he can't do it, but he can sort of get this group together.
An Orthodox
and of course,
reggae musician.
No, like he's the guy from the story. Isn't that their dad in the story?
Yeah. Their dad is Matisyahu, but I just like the idea of Gene Hackman dressed like an Orthodox reggae musician. Yeah.
I would love that. God, thankfully we have Matisyahu who gave us some really fun Hanukkah music, because otherwise it's pretty dry out there. So, anyways, so he's this coach who's bringing Judah Maccabee, aka Keanu Reeves, and coaching him to glory. There isn't any fire or much desecration, but I saw some sort of like Hanukkah analogy there. And I do believe if there's any one non-Jew that we could give honorary status to, it's Keanu, right? He's invited to join.
The one guy, that's your top draft pick?
I would say if I had to pick an actor in Hollywood that's not Jewish, he's definitely up there. Yeah. I'd definitely draft him over. Seems like a stand-up guy. There's always these viral videos of him doing like mitzvahs for people on random buses.
True, he's always doing mitzvahs.
He's
like a one-man mitzvah machine.
He is. He's always doing such nice things for people.
I would take Chris Evans, because at least he played a Mossad guy in that Red Sea hotel movie.
I would always.
And he's also does lots of mitzvahs. Evans.
Okay, fine. We can each get one. Shai gets Chris. I get Keanu. Who does Becky get? We each get a draft to one person
for Hanukkah, for our Hanukkah movie franchise.
I'm gonna have to think about this. This is a very serious question.
For our Maccabees, wait, that would be such a great. So wait, so if Keanu plays Judah, you could have Chris Evans play Eliezer. He's the one that gets sat on by the elephant, right?
Ooh, don't you feel like we should also cast an actual Jew? We should get Jake Gyllenhaal in there playing someone.
I feel like Jake
Jewish,
Gyllenhaal.
Right?
Didn't Taylor Swift just release a 10-minute song about Jake Gyllenhaal being a bad boyfriend?
Or something, not returning.
That doesn't mean he's a bad Jew.
I didn't listen to it. I think he just didn't return her scarf.
Following our own example, we should following our own example. 100%.
We should cast Gyllenhaal.
All right. So, are there any other underdog stories or Christmas era period stories that you feel like, hey, look, if people aren't going to take this one, we'll take this as a Hanukkah movie?
I mean, essentially any story where you have rebel fighters teaming up against the big bad, that's a Hanukkah story. We're the original, underdog story.
I have a question. Is Nightmare Before Christmas a Christmas movie or a Halloween movie? Can it just be a Hanukkah
And I think
movie?
it was actually released on Thanksgiving, just so you know. I'm pretty
the
sure.
Trifecta. Is that movie to blame for the blending of all three holidays? You know how when it's Halloween starts and the Christmas decorations are out, it's Tim Burton's fault.
Oh no, it looks like it was released in October. I don't know why I thought it was released.
So then it's a Halloween movie more than a Christmas movie, right?
It is a Halloween more than a movie than a Christmas movie. But that's another one that we watch in our house that we watch a lot, because we don't watch a lot of Christmas movies, but there's a few movies that I think really transcend and any sort of
Home Alone,
Nightmare Before Christmas, and Die Hard.
Because none of these are really Christmas movies. That's why.
Oh, don't say that to Shy.
Well, no, now forget it. Let's workshop Nightmare Before Christmas. How's that a Hanukkah movie? Because I'll take that one too. If people don't count that one, I'll take it.
That's what I'm saying. If they count it as a Halloween movie, let's just take it for Hanukkah.
Yeah, exactly. All right. That's good. Right. Anyone? Well, okay. So that's our. This is awesome. I can't wait for somebody to hear this.
Somebody,
just one person. I think we're gonna finally get some hate mail for an episode.
No, you might finally get some hate mail. Lily and I get plenty already.
Oh, okay, fair enough. But it comes to me. So, Lily and Beck, what have you been watching lately?
Okay, I'll let Lily talk about Selling Sunset because we've both been watching that. But I finally started the newest, and I believe it's going to be the last season of Insecure. I like to wait until certain shows are completely released so I can binge them.
I'm with you because I want to know that there's a complete story.
It continues to be so good. I think the reason it continues to be great is because each of the characters have evolved and they make a point of really continuing each of their arcs and their growth stories. And I think that in some ways so it's still amazing because each of the main characters have continued their journey and they haven't cut any of that short. And they're really giving you this I think they're going to really try and complete the arcs. Does that mean that necessarily all of these characters should still be on this show? That's up for debate. But if they're keeping people on, they are showing you how they are evolving. And I really appreciate that. And it's still so funny. And I realized I had my closed captioning on for the first time ever watching the show. And reading the closed captioning, I understand far less than if I don't have the closed captioning on and I'm just watching it. It's a funny thing to it's like the one time where closed captioning is working. The facial
expressions and the acting, is that?
Yeah, it tells me so much. And the truth is, there are a lot more nuances in the words that they use, in the slang that they use, in just the things that they're talking about that I realize I actually don't understand. I don't know if it's because I'm not the right age or not the right race, but it's not exactly it's one of those shows where it's niche, but that's why I love it so much, right? But so I closed captioning was working against me a little bit recently, which made me appreciate it on another level yet again. So I just feel like every time I watch this show and I watch a new episode, I have more and more reasons to just absolutely adore it. And Issa Rae is so funny. The way her particular type of humor, the way that in just her acting and her expressions, it just destroys me. I think she's hilarious. She has this very particular awkward sensibility about her that I find incredibly endearing and I really connect to. And I'm just loving it. I love it. I'm going to be so sad when it's off the air. So that, and been watching The Expanse after having that been recommended so many times. Watching The Expanse.
Most recently by your brother. Specifically,
most recently by my brother. So
your husband had not. I recommended it to him, so if he likes it, I'm looking for it.
We like it. We've blown through season 1 in a week.
Wow, you're already through season 1.
Yeah, we've been doing 2 to 3 episodes a night. We've just crushed season 1, and I think even saw the first 2 episodes of season 2 last night. Just
where can people watch it?
Amazon
Prime. On Amazon Prime.
Okay.
And then lastly, I want to recommend the Haim updated version of Adam Sandler's Hanukkah song, which
that's a great rec. That's a great
it's
rec.
So cute.
That's a great rec, and I think it's really great that they did that because in some ways anyone could write a Hanukkah song parody, but you have to be, I think, of a certain musical comedy or musical status to actually continue the song, and I think they
That's a
they deserve
ballsy,
that.
bold
They
move
did it
to
well.
continue the song or
They
do a
did it
version.
well. Adam Sandler loved it. He
Oh, really?
endorsed it. Yeah, he loved it. He
Oh.
was so excited about it. So that made me even happier. And then because of that post that had been passed around, it was actually Dan Levy that had put it on his account. And then I saw it through there because he's named in it. And then I realized that Haim does a special Hanukkah post every night of Hanukkah.
They do giveaways. They do gifts.
Every night.
Guitars,
And
tickets.
They're a
they
cool
do
band.
every night of Hanukkah.
They are
yeah.
so cool. And I haven't seen it yet, but I will now be even more excited to see the new movie Licorice Pizza that
can't
one of the
wait.
sisters is in.
It got great reviews.
Yeah. Paul Thomas Anderson's new movie. And
Haim is
that's
in it.
the one. The youngest one is in it. And I'm going to be I'm really looking forward to seeing that.
And they're from Canada?
They're from LA.
Oh, LA. Okay, because you said Alana Haim, so I assume if you said
I'm
Alana, then
but
you're
I'd
from
be
Montreal.
Really, it might be Alana.
Oh, what is? I'm from Canada, so that's
so Canadians say Alana, and Americans say Alana.
Alana. Oh, so then it's
like
Alana.
pasta and pasta.
We say pasta.
Canadians say pasta.
Say pasta. Well, she's that's like Samara weaving. I always say Samara weaving. You guys are like, it's Samara weaving.
But like Samara Yesovich. She's not Samara Yesovich.
Right.
Samara Dolphin.
These
people
exactly.
are Samara.
Montreal.
I love the Montreal accent.
Anyway, sorry, they're from LA.
But my neighbor Samara Weinstein is Samara.
Interesting.
Not Samara.
Not Samara.
She's in Arlington. She's Samara, not Samara.
Are their names Dara and Dara? Would it be Dara in the States, but Dara and
No,
it's
Dara.
Great.
But have you met
question.
a Dara? Oh, yes, we have met a Dara in the United States, and she's Dara.
And what about Mara and Mara? Mara versus Mara is a big one too.
No, but I think that just depends on who's pronouncing your name.
But it's funny that the Daras that I do know are all Canadian.
But I know you don't. Dara Davis.
Oh no, that's true. Okay. That's true. Dara.
That's the original Dara. That's the
one
OG
American.
Dara.
That is
true. One American, two Canadians. Anyways,
Lily, what are you watching?
That was a very interesting conversation for people not from Montreal living in America.
Okay, so I feel like my most satisfying I Told You show is me hounding Becky to watch this ridiculous real estate show. Like I had to beg her to watch it just so I had someone to talk to about it. And not only it's an I Told You show, but it's also like it's an I Told You so. But then how do I get grateful show you? Like I'm so grateful that Becky got on this bandwagon with me.
Well,
it makes
I don't know what you
so
just said
much more
you cut
fun.
out for a second. What did you say? A what show?
Oh, sorry. Like I want to there's an I Told You show, but there's like I'm grateful for you show. Like I want to thank her for trusting me. I'm satisfied with the I Told You
term.
show.
We got to think about that.
We're gonna have to think of what to call that. But
good.
I just want to say both Selling Sunset and Insecure are so good. I've been going back and forth an episode to try and drag each
highbrow,
one out
lowbrow.
because and it's really like the two most opposite worlds of shows, each satisfying a different craving.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is hilarious that's you're oscillating between.
yeah.
But yeah, it's season 5, but it's a reality show. So is it season 5 or is it season 2? We don't know. Like they just throw out these seasons, right? Like, but
Netflix,
anyways,
Netflix is
you can't tell, but it's been so fun. It's just so deliciously fun. And the houses, I love the houses. I love looking at the real estate. So I highly enjoy.
I'm trying to understand why some homes are 14 million and some homes
it's their location,
2 million.
The number of bathrooms.
It's their location.
8 bathrooms.
It's
I sure it's a tiny bathroom with
8 bathrooms. After watching the show, I'm like, only 8 bathrooms? You need 12. Like when they're like 17,000 bathrooms, I'm like, that makes sense. That's a logical number for bathrooms. It's the location, Beck. Hollywood Hills versus Calabasas. Calabasas is much cheaper. So it all has to do with
But it's where all the
location.
celebrities live.
Yeah, but it's because it's cheap. That's where like they go to have their mansions because it's seen it as like not. It's half hour.
It's cheap.
Away.
It's only $5 million for a house.
Right.
That's what the problem with the show. It makes you think that way. You're like, oh, it's only 3.4 million.
When they
oh,
show a house that's 3.4, I'm like, what is this shack?
When
This
Chriselle is like, I
Right.
can finally afford my own home at $3.3 million. You're like, I think you could have afforded a home a very long time ago. You don't need to buy $3.5 million.
That's amazing. When she's like, now
You
I'm never
finally
gonna
afford a place to
the best
live.
is when she's like, I'm never gonna be homeless again. And you're like, I'm pretty sure you didn't need 3.5 million to not be homeless.
Also, if you got to pay the property tax on a house that expensive, you might be homeless again.
Right, exactly, especially in California or in Los Angeles. And so yeah, that's been so fun to have back. And then I'm going between that and Succession, which is a real
So
trip.
just upping the ante.
Right, exactly.
At least I'm creating some balance.
Right. Whereas Jose and I are watching it and he's like, so what you're saying is like, to be rich, you use a helicopter as a taxi. That's what the level of what we're talking about. Like they just bip-bop around in these helicopters. And I was like, I guess so. I guess that's the level that, or they charter a private plane for someone.
Sounds like
Meet me
the
here.
dad gets to.
I'll
It
send
seems
you
like
a plane.
the dad gets to. It seems that like Logan does. It seems the kids don't get helicopter access regularly. Otherwise, Kendall would have gotten to that meeting on time.
I guess you're right. It's a good point. No, the chopper leaves. I don't know. Anyways, I'm deep into I think we're in the last episode of season 2. And it definitely gets better. And I know we're late to the game. People have been watching the show for years. And I noticed when like season 3 came out and everyone and everything was talking about season 3, I was like, oh shit, I guess I have to watch this show. It's a big deal.
But that's why they have to give good shows a chance. That's why you don't cancel a show after one season.
Is it true that Alexander Skarsgård is in season 3?
Don't even threaten that.
Because I swear I saw that somewhere. So now I'm actually interested in watching it just so I could get to him. I swear I saw something like a picture of him in that.
That's reason enough, Becky, to start watching the show. He's
now.
Eric Northman from True Blood.
Oh, that doesn't help me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't know what to say.
The abusive husband in Big Little Lies.
Big Little Lies. He didn't watch that either.
Yeah, he's in season 3.
Okay.
So you might as well just say he's an Outlander. Okay.
Okay. Wait, I just also want to say one more thing quickly. I just want to say one more thing. I was asked.
How much more do you want to say?
I do want to say 2 more things. One, I feel like if a friend asks you, hey, like, let's have a show together or let this be our show together, it's like asking someone to go steady. I was so honored that a friend of mine was like, we need a show together. And I was like, oh my God.
Which friend? Who's this friend you have?
Mine, my friend Elle, who lives here.
Oh.
She was like, we don't have a show together.
With Lily, you need to know who the friend is because there's a few people.
There's only like 3. Yeah. And so she's already like she's already watched season 3 of Succession. So she's too late on that, but we're going to watch the morning show together. She's catching up.
I feel like I'd only watch that if I had a friend to watch it with.
Right. I feel like, and so I feel like, that is super fun and it makes me like happy to watch that show. And then, the only other thing I have to say is Leah Jones shine. I didn't know if I should be offended or elated.
Candy Chat Chicago with Leah Jones. That's a good segue to my recommendations because that's my podcast is so funny with Leah Jones and Jocelyn Gayboy.
So and her mom.
And, well, I mean, this episode in particular, you got it. So you're very lucky. The thing you donated to the cause ended up on the Thanksgiving episode with Leah's mom.
Now, I feel terrible on one hand because they hated everything I sent them.
Wait, what did you send them?
She sent them bricks of Turon.
They didn't like it? Oh, I have to listen to this episode.
It's the funniest thing. I was laughing.
So, to be fair, I was
crying.
They didn't try my favorite one, the only one that I really eat. I sent them an assortment so they have what to try, and then some random like almond.
Wait, you're telling me the salted peanut roll people like a stale salty roll of peanuts, but don't like the delicacy that is Turon. Oh, I'm gonna have to listen to this, and I'm gonna have some tweets.
Explanation is so funny.
To be fair, they don't try everything I sent them. They only tried a bit.
Jocelyn, who is truly one of the funniest people I've ever heard on a podcast, she consistently blames me
for some reason. I'm the one that sent
during
it.
the interview.
And she's like,
Said-
Shy, how could you do this to us? And when Leah's mom goes, well, I think this is actually good for chapped lips about the creamy tuna. I was laughing so hard, and I was like, all at once, I'm extremely annoyed that they hated all the candy, and on the other hand, I'm like, the material that I provided them is
just
amazing.
when they try to, the package that Tyrone comes in is so ridiculous. Them trying to take, because it looks like it's supposed to be soft, and then you're cutting through many, many layers of plastic to get to that brick, and the way they describe it is so funny. It was Candy Cat Chicago, Leah Jones, Jocelyn Gayboy, all anywhere you can get your podcasts.
It's very funny.
And I think your part comes in around the 39-minute mark. If the whole episode is hilarious. But if you,
there's a lot of banter at the beginning. So if you want to, skip ahead to that when they actually start trying the candy, it's really fun. I
mean, they also try these chocolates with strawberry cordial and stuff. It's so funny. All right. Yes. All right. And they curse me. I mean, Jocelyn curses me so many times as if it was my fault, which just makes it great. So for me, I will say I'm on the Succession bandwagon. Also, Allie and I finished the first season last night, which it's truly epic, and it's great. And I understand when people say how these are the worst people, but I find that the characters actually have the main four characters, the father and the three kids. I think Tom is a truly heinous human being, but I think the three siblings have so much depth and so much complexity to their motivation as to how they ended up the way they are.
Exactly. That's
why this show works.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. I was expecting the way people describe it a much more nihilistic show where you were just following like Mad Men, where they're all truly
just like,
okay, you're getting me to, I'm gonna watch it. I'm excited now. I'll watch it.
All three of the main siblings who are extremely,
guys, someone may be getting an I Told You show the way you're describing
negative
it. I don't
and troubled people. There's a tremendous amount of
that someone would be me, because I got us on this bandwagon.
Yeah, there's a tremendous amount of depth as to why they are the way they are, and it's revealed in pieces over time. And I say this because there are moments where Allie and I are looking at the character of Siobhan, who is the daughter, and the whole first half of the season, we're asking ourselves, why is she with this guy Tom? And then they chip away a little bit of the character and they explain a little bit more, and you understand why in a very amazing, poignant scene. And it's great. And then the other thing I'll just say, and I realize I'm a season and a half behind, but I truly believe that her character is the Michael Corleone. And I think that and I said it, Lily, 2 or 3 episodes in, and then I get to the end of the first season and I see it even more so. And I tweeted a graphic about that yesterday, which you'll eventually see when you check Twitter because I mentioned you. But I think that she's the stone cold killer. She's the one the father respects the most. That's my view.
I can't wait till you catch up.
Sticking to it.
We need to catch up so we can talk about it.
We're going to. We're all in. But that show is sometimes we have to watch half an episode.
I don't know. I feel like Vlad and I are going to have to take a few days off just to watch The Expanse and Succession so that we can.
The Expanse is a show that I would have gambled hard that Vlad would love that show because of the way it tells the socioeconomic political world of the future and what it would, and so I think he'd be really into that. Then the other things I'll say is, so to balance Succession, I've dug back into Tacoma FD on True with Kevin Heffernan and Steve Lemmy, and it's got its 4th season. So now I feel like I can get further attached to it. So at least if it only has 4 seasons, that's 4 quality seasons. That show is so funny. If you love Super Troopers, especially midway through the first season when they get their groove, it is so darn funny. I have given you each homework of watching 1 episode. Just the
right. I haven't seen your episode. Did you send it to me? The one I'm supposed to watch?
Yes, I flagged it for you. It's on HBO Max anyway. It's the 7th episode of season 1, and now that show's on HBO Max, so more people can see it. I'm laughing so hard every night when I'm watching it. And I had to watch 2 episodes of it after the finale of season 1 of Succession. We did watch Home Sweet Home Alone, Alabama. And whatever it's called, and I'll say what they did was with Disney is they did remake a lot of Home Alone, but the movie is different. There is no villain in this version of Home Alone. It's not
Rob Delaney and
Rob Delaney and Ellie Kemper are trying to break into the house to steal something, but they are equally main characters and sympathetic characters. There's a little bit of a misunderstanding between their character and
Sweet,
the
there
main
isn't
kid.
even like a real Joe Pesci, Dan Stern bad guy situation happening.
I guess there
isn't really. Well, there's sort of there. No, there isn't really a bad guy, which does make the violence a little bit more. I will say the violence is funnier to watch in the '90s movies. But like when they burn Ellie Kemper's feet in this movie, I was like, "Ooh, I feel like this is too far." They light her feet on fire. Like she gets third-degree burns on her feet at one point in this movie.
Terrible.
But there's a couple of scenes that had me laughing out loud. And the kid Archie, I forget his first name, but he played the little Nazi best friend in Jojo Rabbit.
Yeah, very funny, very cute,
hilarious, and also. Unlike Kevin, yeah, he's a good guy, but he's not always so sympathetic. And same thing with it's a little grayer all around, and but it is not that good. Like it has some really funny moments, especially when the slapstick starts. We were laughing pretty hard, but my kids also were, and I give my kids a lot of credit. They said the next movie that comes up on the app is Home Alone. And they're like, "Can we watch the real Home Alone?" And I said, "That's right. That's the right.
That's the correct response. The real Home Alone."
But I would say they made a little bit of an effort, and there is a Buzz McAllister thread in the film.
There is.
They spend a few minutes on Buzz McAllister's epilogue. No other McAllister.
Wait, is it still the McAllister family?
No, it's some other family, but Buzz McAllister lives in the town, and so you do see him.
The actual Buzz McAllister lives in the town.
The actor plays him, and he's in the town.
That's amazing. See,
it's a nice little Easter egg in there. And they spend more than 1 minute on it. I would say they spend 4 minutes on it, but it was enjoyable. If you really pay attention, there's some neat little backstory there. Then I feel like I'm going to have to end on something happier in this, but the Joshua Malina article from The Atlantic, I just want to read one section that I thought was really powerful and about Mel Gibson, because it's a bigger concept. It speaks to bigger concepts of anti-Semitism and I know this is an issue we've been talking about a lot lately. Joshua Malina, of course, is on The West Wing and Sports Night and is hilarious on Twitter. He responds to people that say the most horrible things to him. He'll just write, "Thanks for the follow. Shabbat shalom. Have a good weekend." It's really funny. And then he says really smart stuff too. So this is a brilliant article, and this is a little section I'll read. Gibson's political beliefs are, as my father would say, somewhere to the right of Ramses. I assume he's talking about the pharaoh. Check out YouTube to see Gibson saluting Donald Trump at a UFC fight. He has said sexist things and yelled racist slurs, and that should have been enough for liberal Hollywood to cut him off. But his reported anti-Semitism has been more consistent, more open, and more egregious. The fact that this doesn't seem to bother Warner Brothers executives makes me wonder if, to them, Jews don't count in quotation marks, as the comic David Baddiel posits in his book of the same name. Baddiel, a British Jew, argues that polite society treats anti-Semitism as a semi-acceptable form of prejudice, that most maddening and confusing is that the anti-racist progressive left often seems to tolerate and at times produce it. It breaks my heart to ponder how many Jews must have been part of the process that led to Warner Brothers' announcement. This is a point that he's making, and then Malina goes on to say, "This might feel like a smaller matter if it didn't come at a moment when members of my tribe feel the walls closing in again. Jews were victims in more than 50% of religious-based hate crime last year. In recent years, we've witnessed the Tree of Life massacre in Pittsburgh, the murder of Chabad of Poway Synagogue in California, Jewish students harassed at college campuses, anti-European anti-Semitism. These are headlines that make us feel unsafe. Is this really the time to glorify a man like Mel Gibson?" And so, anyways, it's a long article. It's really well done, and we'll put it in the show notes.
Shed a quick light on the Warner Brothers thing?
Well, Warner Brothers has greenlit. This is where greenlit a Lethal Weapon 5 that they're going to do for streaming, and Mel Gibson is going to direct it.
Right.
And so, which is like. Which, first of all, I think Lethal Weapon 4 closes the story nice. So, like, let's just leave it where
Is
it
Rene
was.
Russo coming back for it?
I have no idea. I don't know if any.
You're like, what you're saying is I can't get a Maccabees movie, but we get this piece of shit.
Yeah, and so Lethal Weapon 4, which was directed by Richard Donner and is part of that original series and has a whole that film ends the series pretty darn well. You don't need more Lethal Weapon after that. Although you know how much I love that property, but this is a particularly twisted way to continue this. Even though I do like the character of Martin Riggs. Anyways, so that was my dramatic reading, a rare time where I will read on the podcast. But I thought that was a really powerful article.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that.
On that note, Becky, where can people follow you?
At Paper BK Princess on Twitter.
Lily, how about you?
Chichi, ChiChiK Gomez on Twitter.
And you can follow me at Pancake for Table on Twitter and Instagram, at Friday Night Movie on Twitter and Instagram. Sign up for our email list. If you got, this is our less than monthly email list. We sent out a holiday list with our top eight picks, or like our editors' picks of the year, the hosts' picks of the year, eight shows for 8 nights of Hanukkah. We sent out. If you haven't gotten it and you sign up for the list, I'll send you the list. And we're also doing giveaways through the email list. So if you get on the email list, there's a cool way to get an official Friday Night Movie hat, which I would say is probably the highest ranked in the Friday Night Movie swag. It's embroidered, comes in a few different colors. It's pretty amazing. And with that, check out the show notes for the organizations we are supporting, and the theme music by What Does It Eat will kick in, and we will dance our way into the afternoon. Love you, Becky and Lily. Talk to you soon.
Love you guys. Bye, guys. Bye.
Bye.